So, welcome, guys. Today's episode is a special one. I've got Tom Hill here and Ali Whitey. So, please, Tom, first introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Tom Hill. I'm the head of operations at GoGamers, based in Dubai.
Awesome. And Ali?
Wait, do I really need an introduction, everyone? No.
Hey,
Wait.
you never know, man. You never know. You want to join for
All
introduction
right,
as well?
sure. You know,
I'm
I'm
gonna
fine.
introduce my-
Just
All right.
because Ramadan something.
She wants to introduce herself
I'd like
as
to
well.
introduce myself. I'm the wife.
Look at Ali.
Hi,
Thank you very
Ali.
much.
All right.
All right, so my name is Sayed. You guys seen me at IGN Middle East for a few years, and then you've seen me in a couple of other places, and now I just play games because it's my passion.
Well, I have to say, thanks to GoGamers and thanks to Tom Hill's platform, Ali and I actually became buddies on Abu Dhabi TV. We actually, first time we sat down and we got to know each other. And I have to say, I'm very grateful to GoGamers and to get to have Ali as a new friend.
Likewise,
you're
dude.
welcome.
Likewise.
Glad we could make
So-
friendship.
So after
Go
being,
gamers.
so after,
Connecting gamers.
connecting gamers. So
Exactly.
because after Rahul's the one that contacted me through Abu Dhabi TV and everything on Hobby Nation UAE, or was it Gamers Lounge? It's one of the two platforms. Later on, I met a few members of your staff at Girl Gamer. And I have to admit, they were really down to earth. They were not cocky. They were not arrogant. They were talking to me as an equal. And that's when I realized, you know what? Go Gamers in the right direction.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's exactly the approach that we want to take, and what anyone who comes on board with us, they have to have the values that we as gamers have already, and be able to showcase that to audience playing games. I mean, 50% of our employees are all hardcore gamers, and myself, as you can probably see, is Rapture in the background there display. I'm a huge gamer as well, and so I just wanted the guys to just chat with people as people. We're not a different breed, and as I said to the tournament directors, the guys running the show and running all these tournaments, and when we're chatting to the players, don't speak to them like you're a bot. Don't speak to it like you're on the live chat on another website. Get involved with them, have jokes, send memes, whatever you want to do, because that's what I felt was lacking in the gaming world, and especially when for people like me, as a young professional working at blue chip companies before Go Gamers, it was hard for me to connect with other gamers, and I know for a lot of people it's hard to suddenly just go, hey, be my friend, or hey, can you help me find people? So I totally get it, and that's why I said to the guys, look, get engaged and see what happens. There's no harm.
So recently, Rahul, before this video, before this decision to meet on Zoom, sent me a link, and it says that Go Gamers is partnering with UAE E-Sports. And to me, that's very big news, because that made me really happy. And I insisted that this becomes into an interview video, because I want to hear your side of the story. I want to hear Ali's opinion on this. I want to hear. So the first question is, what does that mean?
Yeah, sleepless nights, first of all, for me, if I can say that. But yeah, look, basically, I mean, so Go Gamers is two things, right? It's always for the players, but we recognize that if we want to continue giving the service that we need to expand and grow. And we offered a service to companies to do white label specialist tournaments for people who want to get involved in gaming. But one of the things where we differentiate ourselves is that we don't want brands just to run a tournament and then that's it. We will always try and make their brand endemic with gaming. So if someone comes to me and says, I want to do a one-off, that's not what we're about. It's creating long-term associations. So this association in an official capacity with the UAE, it came about with a conversation with the Ministry of Interior and they wanted to do something for the people during the coronavirus outbreak. Please, guys, stop me if I'm going too quick or into too much detail.
No, you're completely fine. I would just ask to speak louder. That's it.
Sorry. Let me pull the mic. Pull the mic closer. Everyone usually complains that it sounds like I'm eating the mic. I'm that loud.
Well, I'm pretty sure now with the coronavirus and Ramadan, like online gaming went.
Yeah, it really did.
Like regular, like what I call muggles, normal people. Like, what do you guys do when you're stuck indoor all day? I'm like, shave my head, shave my beard, play video games.
Yeah.
In that particular order?
No, you have to wake up, shave my head, play video games.
No, it was also mentioned literally when the whole pandemic happened. The first week, Steam witnessed 20 million players using Steam on daily basis, which was never seen before. And you're talking that was like back in March when all of this started.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, it's like Netflix.
Yep.
Netflix had 16.6 million new subscribers.
Wow. Oh my, that's insane.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, we were approached and we had a conversation with Colonel Abdul Rahman Ali Al Mansouri, who he is head of the Ministry of Interior and also works alongside Bania Sports Club.
Okay.
And he wanted to do an initiative for the people of the UAE at a time when a government couldn't really connect with the people. When we're all stuck inside our homes. So it was actually his son who plays on our tournaments. He said, "Hey, Dad, you need to check out GoGamers," which is, again, it's down to the customer service.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really
treating people as normal.
That's really lucky. That shows that you should always be in top-notch, respectful to people, and giving them a good service because you never know who shows up.
Exactly. And this, I passed the feedback onto my team as well, and I said exactly this. And we put a proposal across, say, right, people are stuck indoors, gaming's doing fantastically well to keep people entertained and busy during a time when we know like anxiety rates are going up, depression rates are going up. So gaming is a great outlet for those. Part of the Colonel's other role is part of the Ministry of Empowerment, which was also about encouraging healthy behaviours. So these are the departments that, tell us, help us quit smoking, have healthy eating lifestyles, all of those things. And so he wanted to combine gaming with something physical. Went back and forth quite a lot. And in a nutshell, in the TLDR version, we created the United Active Engaged e-game series. And it's a combination of physical challenges and gaming. And basically, the way in which it combines is that you at home could do, for example, one of the challenges we have is called push-up power. And it's about, doing push-ups in your house, and the amount you do gives you a certain amount of score on a leaderboard. At the end of a couple of days, the highest member on that leaderboard gets a prize. So we're trying to encourage people to stay active. But also at the same time, that same leaderboard is connected to our gaming tournaments. So if you can't do, if you're trying to compete against Sylvester Stallone, who's always going to whoop you with push-ups, don't worry, you can still try and beat him because he's awful at Overwatch. And so you can get involved gaming and play and get involved with the community through gaming, or get involved with the gaming community through physical activity. So we have the two sides, and we do still have split as well. So, for example, my wife doesn't game at all, but she loves all these fitness shows and fitness YouTube things. So she just does the physical exercises, and we know that there are gamers who just want to take part in the gaming exercises. So there's still something for everyone. But the important message around it is that the Banias Club, the ministry, the government, they're here. They want to try and keep you entertained at a time when you can't go down to City Walk, when you can't go to Yas Island. They want to provide you with some form of entertainment, and that's exactly, with the sponsors that we got on board as well. That's exactly the approach that we went to them. So I'm very proud to say we're not taking money from people for this at all. This was something we wanted to do, to provide and to give back at a time when when we're all struggling, we're all in this together.
That's good. That's really good. What about you, Ali? What do you think?
I love the initiative because when you look at it, we currently not sure, and we're talking worldwide, we're not talking UAE, we're not quite sure how long will this pandemic take, okay? And while it's fascinating that with this current time, everyone starts seeing gaming from a different perspective, because even with my Sky News segments that I usually do every now and then, before I used to have these episodes where I had to sit down and defend gaming in particular, when they say, oh, Fortnite, for example, was the reason why the divorce rate is high in the UK, for example, or PUBG is the reason why a lot of people
are you serious?
A lot of kids are being... Yes. I know that. And to the point where, like, there was one episode where...
So if I play Fortnite, I'll get a divorce from my wife.
I mean, yes, if your wife is not into gaming and you're not giving her enough time and you're neglecting her just to attend Travis Scott's concert on Fortnite, yeah, sure, she's gonna... if I was your wife, I'll divorce you.
Hey, man, if I was my own wife and if I play Fortnite, I will divorce myself.
Good thinking. Okay, no, we're not taking a jab at those who love Fortnite. Everyone can...
No. I actually like Fortnite, but it's not for me.
Same. So when you sit down and say, oh, PUBG's, for example, managed to cause a murder between two teenage kids in Iraq, and you need to sit down and defend all of that, now people are finally seeing that no, while yes, there are some games that might tend to show some violence in it, there are also a lot of good games that you can play with your family, and we always say that it's always up to the parents how they monitor their kids and allow them what to play. So seeing all these great initiatives happening now, like the one that GoGamers are doing right now, and not only link it to gaming tournaments like they used to, but also involve physical activities that also train people or train gamers to remember that, yes, while you enjoy spending hours and hours playing your favorite video game, you need to remember that you also need to work out, you need to move, you need to exercise, you need to stimulate your brain in different ways, you need to stimulate your body in different ways. So it is a great initiative, and it would be even greater to see a lot of companies in the region and the Middle East to follow suit like GoGamers did, whether they were contacted by the like the Ministry of Interior or not. Like, well, it was great for GoGamers to have that awesome opportunity. I think a lot of companies that does such thing need to have similar initiatives as well, so that they can get recognized, and hopefully we have a great platform from companies that tell people, yes, gaming is awesome, but you need to do other stuff as well, and for gamers to start adapting and say, hey, yes, well, gaming is awesome, I see all of these fun challenges that I can do from the comfort of my home and the comfort of my PJs that could make me a better person even more.
Yeah, I completely agree as well, because not only I think all companies have a responsibility socially to whatever markets they're operating in and to their audience, and same with our tournaments. We make sure we protect our audience in our games as well. There are age restrictions on games for reasons as well, so we ensure that we qualify that for people, so we're not having minors interacting with with other people, and to talk of online predators and things. We want to make sure we protect our audience,
of course,
and this is, and every company should do the same. And it actually, when we were growing this initiative, and when we were looking for sponsors, it wasn't a case of, hey, we're doing this, and you're going, hey, we're working with the UAE in official capacity, please give us money. It wasn't that at all. It was, hey, we're trying to give back to people right now. What could you think? What would you like to do in order to support people who can't go out and get their weekly food shop, who are taking pay cuts, so may not be able to pay their rent, who what are the little gestures that make a big difference? And these are the conversations that we're having. So and all of the sponsors have been giving things to try and just give a little bit of enlightenment to people during this time. I mean, I graduated as a psychology major, so mental health and mental health awareness is something I'm always extremely passionate about, and I know that there will be people struggling, and I also know that there's probably gamers out there who don't know they're gamers yet, and this kind of initiative might encourage someone who, mission accomplished for me. If there is someone out there right now who isn't in a great place but picks up and plays their first ever game, and it gives them just a little bit of enjoyment, that mission accomplished, done for me, if that could happen.
And that's actually something that we need in the Middle East, because with Middle Easterns in general, gaming is a very interesting topic. Growing up, they will tell you, why you're wasting hours and hours playing these video games, you're not going to learn anything from it. But let the summer come in, and the only thing that they will try to distract you with is buying you a new console. Okay? So I'm like, it's kind of contradicting, and it's a sad thing. And even till now, when you see that a lot of people are working in the world of video games, just participating in tournaments would make you a millionaire. I remember in 2016 when tournaments were more active in the UAE, we did an article about how much a player could make per year just by participating and being on top three, not just being number one, just being in top three. How money can this player actually get per year by just participating in tournaments? So the sad thing about a lot of gamers who have potential in being gamers but not being able to do it because growing up, you'll always remember that, you're doing something useless. Well, if we want to talk about it, in the past 3 years, especially independent studios, managed to tap into a lot of great topics, whether if it's mental health, whether if it's depression, how to cope with a loss of a family member or a loved one, and the list goes on. I always get asked this question of what kind of games do you always play? And I love how people ask me that question and respond to it automatically. I'm sure you play the usual stuff, but then when I sit down and I start discussing a game like Celeste, that personally helped me to overcome a dark period in my time while I was very, very depressed. Or talk about another game that's called Gris, or talk about Katana Zero that talks about PTSD, or even talk about big games like The Last of Us that talks about building relationships and trusting people and not trusting people, and all the other games. And even God of War, the game that used to be just about violence, to take it from a perspective of just being, I'm angry at everyone, I'm just going to kill everyone, to the point of oh no, you know what? Now I have a son. Now I need to understand the relationship between my son and I. When people start hearing me talking about all these things, they look at me and they're like, are you sure talking about video games? I'm like, yes. And that's a sad thing that a lot of parents are not realizing, is that with the technology and all the video games that we have right now, you can allow your kid to be who he is and love video games, and also make sure that he benefits something out of it, whether if it's better understanding of a certain topic or just being creative while playing Minecraft or any other game that
Ali,
push people
it's
to be creative.
it's I don't know how to say this without sounding pessimistic or negative. First of all, I am a nationalist.
Sure.
So I can talk about my own people and my own family,
Yeah.
So they have a habit of being judgmental. Middle Easterns, Arabs in general, if somebody big does something, if somebody famous or popular wears a trash bag as a hat, then it becomes okay to wear a trash bag as a hat. And that is, we're a very image copying kind of mentality. But if we see our kids enjoying something we don't understand, we mock it. And it shows that even, for example, us will mock Fortnite. I'll be honest. A lot of people, including us, but then we think to ourselves, we're better than that. You know, every generation is different. Like, I'm not a fan of Post Malone, but he just did a cover of Nirvana, which is amazing, and now I have newfound respect for him. So that is the problem in general. Like, people are judgmental. They hate or loathe or pass judgment on things they don't know or understand.
I completely agree on that, because although, I think we're all from the generation as well. I think parents these days are definitely more open to the possibilities and the advancements that children can get from gaming. But I can speak for myself. My family, they weren't discouraging, but it was, oh, what are you doing wasting hours playing video games? Why don't you go outside?
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing wasting time doing that? That's never gonna pay your rent. And all of those things. And, as a result, I went and chose my psychology major. I chose, A-levels, all of my education and my career path based on what I thought would make me a successful person. And, I've worked for some of the biggest companies in the world. I had a blue chip career, but I always wanted to work in gaming. And there was that niggling voice that was like, no, Tom, you can't. You can't live your life as a gamer. To the point where eventually it was, halas, I'm going to join GoGamers. I'm going to push this and make something of it. But it took over 30 years of that thought growing and being suppressed by the world that we lived in, going, no, you can't do that.
I've sent
and it's interesting how you're mentioning this, and you studied psychology. Like, despite the fact that you understood it and maybe probably went to the root of the problem, it was still haunting you for years.
Yeah, completely, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Like,
it got to a point where it's like, what am I really happy doing? And it's like, it's the difference between what you're good at doing versus what you're happy at doing.
Exactly.
But I'm really happy to see that there's an interest now in video games, because the UAE has always been the innovator, the first person to act, the first person to think outside the box, right? But then I was shocked and surprised to see that. Well, I'm happy. I'm not being jealous or bitter or whatever. That Saudi surpassed the UAE in interest in video games and support for their tournaments and so on. And I was thinking, why wasn't that the UAE? And then I realized, for the first time, we're late to the party.
And you know why?
Because mentality thinks that video games for children.
Mentality. It's not about mentality. It goes back to this, to the simplest of reasons. And I'm not trying to be political here or anything. Before all of these things, or the majority of these things, were suppressed in a way or another. And to take that as a case in point, when Saudi did the Comic-Con, and it was even covered by CNN, seeing the amount of people that attended that Comic-Con particularly shows you that there has been always passion for gaming, cosplay, independent studios, artists. They've been always there, but they didn't have the right platform for them to promote themselves. And even, I remember when I had a couple of courses with YouTube, when YouTube was trying to have a YouTube space here, they've always mentioned that when it comes to the Middle East, the number one users when it comes to YouTube is Saudi. And it cannot be compared, it cannot be surpassed by miles, because you're talking, at least there are 1 million or 2 difference between them and the UAE, for example, when it comes to usage. So Saudi has been always there, but they didn't have the right platform to showcase it. And that's why, as of late, when a lot of restrictions when it comes to these things were slightly lifted or slightly managed better, that's when you start seeing that, Saudi has actually a huge market. And surprisingly, there are huge fans, whether if it's anime or shooters or all the different kind of games. Like it's not only like your usual shooters and FIFA and WWE and all the stuff. No, and you need to remember that the majority of these players are also females.
Oh wow, okay.
Yep. It's always well known, like even in the States, it's always well known that when it comes to the percentage between female to male gamers, surprisingly, you will find a lot of females that actually play video games. But again, because of restrictions and because of mentalities, they'll always use.
But are they really females or guys with female avatars?
No, actual females.
Oh, okay.
No.
Picture it didn't happen.
Females.
Picture it didn't happen.
It's interesting because actually, Ali, I was having a conversation with this couple of guys the other day. Look at we were talking. You were saying about Middle East being late. Oh, sorry, the UAE and the Middle East being late to the party and all these things. Take games like Uncharted, right, which drew its success based on real life history and fables from Europe and the Americas predominantly, right? The Middle East is so rich with stories, fables, the religion, everything. It is a gold mine for an RPG creator to create something based, embedded with a Middle East protagonist and all centered around this part of the world. But, okay, name me one game which takes this lore and this history.
هل سمعت عن اللعبة الجديدة Rise of Kingdom فيها الحضارة العربية؟
No, leave those to the side. Actually, one company tried to do that, which was Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Origins. They dove in to the history of Egypt and the pyramids and everything, and they nailed it.
Yeah, good point.
They nailed it. Yeah, they nailed it.
That's why Egyptians like that game. I just realized now.
I said they nailed it. I said I liked it.
Ah, okay.
But it's also a cliche, right? It's in Egypt. It's the pyramids. It's the cliche in the world everyone knows about.
Yes.
Yep.
And
there's so much more.
And the funny part is, with all the love to the Egyptians and everything, but they're Egyptians in Africa. They're not Arabs in the GCC world.
Oh, we're playing that card now? Sure.
I love you, man. I love you.
You know what? Hey, I can't hear you. What? The connection is failing. Sorry. No, I kind of agree. And it's a good thing that you're not with a biased Egyptian here. When it comes
we don't have crocodiles here. We had our own mythology, like my before Islam, this part I used to worship like the sea god and stuff like that. We didn't have Horus and Mech and Sekhmet and all the big awesome guys. We had smaller guys.
No, I agree with you, but here's the thing. You need to remember also that there are a lot of limitations when it comes to discuss okay, we're not talking about Africa right now, we're just talking about this region. You need to remember that the number of restrictions that we have before we start digging into these things. And we're not saying we're questioning them at this point. We're just saying maybe we're gonna shed a light on them from a different perspective or a different angle, and that might cause a lot of people not to agree with it, and that's why these projects never go through. Also, you need to remember that there were a lot of was it GDC? There was I can't remember which event was it exactly, but used to be this one event that hosts all the independent developers from the region, and they used to have a lot of beautiful concepts that you want to present, whether if it's about the history of the region or certain mentalities, like certain points about the region, but they never go through with it because again, you're restricted with funding.
So back to the topic of GoGamers and the UAE Sports Council in Benias. What does that portray the future of gaming? What do you bring as an improvement to the region?
I think the biggest thing is the community, and it's giving a place. We're not focusing on the professional esports. we're focusing on amateur or competitive amateur gamers, the 2.5 billion in the world of us, giving them a place to compete, to connect, to conquer. And that's the key difference. I think, you know, a lot of people are focused on the esports, and that's been fantastic, and they've got a lot of support. But if you look at the gaming world, like the English Premier League football, there's the Premier League, there's no such thing as the Championship, there's no League One, there's no grassroots, there's nothing for people to be able to show mum and dad who might be skeptical, hey, look, I'm doing well, I can build a career out of this. And that's the biggest thing for me from a gaming point of view. It's creating those layers.
I'll add a point to that as well. Like, even let's say if you are hosting like a professional esports tournament, it would be great. And I hope that this doesn't get out of context, but in my opinion, it would be great to see the current professional esports team to give leeway to other teams to shine and have a spotlight as well. Because
I agree.
In the past few years, whenever I see an esports tournament happening, big or small, you kind of see the same teams. And while hats off to these current teams, and with all the respect to these teams, unfortunately, I've seen these cases many times where a smaller team that wants to show what they are and wants to compete and wants to give a name to themselves in this market, when they see this bigger usual names, you just back out last minute. You're like, hey, what's you?
It's not only that.
I completely agree. I don't want to see esports and gaming become a money-driven sport, and by that I mean you can only succeed if you come from wealth. You know, we have that in so many traditional sports already, and I would hate to see that, because that goes against everything that gaming is.
But also, you forgot that some of the biggest teams tend to absorb the smaller teams. I was having this chat with a friend, and this friend of mine went and spoke to one of the heads of an esport team and confronted him and said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "All I see you doing is breaking apart smaller esport teams and taking their best players, absorbing them into yourself. How is that? How is that allows a market where you can? I want to see a day where we have 50 esport teams, not 3, and then 2 unknowns."
And because if you are good with managing one team, that means you don't go and just pick up the best players out of other teams. If you want to be smart about it, you can nurture that team and actually start shuffling all the teams that you have with each other so that you can find a way to mesh all these people together, rather than just picking and choosing certain people and just leaving the rest.
No, you've noticed in that particular esport team, every year they would lose their best players and they will go to other smaller teams. So that shows me very bad team management. You know,
again, we're not.
But
by the end of this day, we're not taking a jab at anyone.
No, we're not.
This conversation,
we're not.
We're
but
just trying to show how this can be better.
Because I had this topic. I had this topic with a friend. I'm sorry. Another thing that they mentioned, that we have a habit of putting on a pedestal or on a throne the specific esport teams, even though they don't do well compared to other esport teams, but because they're good at social media. And that is, and that is, do you think football players around the world, professional athletes, care about social media? No, it's done by someone else, or it's not even done at all, because they focus on being a sports person. But here, they're following esport teams and putting them up there because of social media.
And you're getting into the whole debate there.
Yeah.
YouTubers and esports.
It simply takes us back to your point, which is like esports should not be an only money-driven business.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So it's not a huge debate. In fact, it's just a full circle. And if you want to apply that, you can apply that also on YouTubers.
Yeah. Like, for example, I used to Twitch stream a lot, and I used to hit 25 to 30 streamers, viewers at the same time on a daily basis. And then when I got an email from Twitch saying, "Oh, you've first milestone, you succeeded." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know there's a milestone thing." The next milestone is 100 viewers at the same time. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I don't care about who. I don't even have 100 friends. How am I gonna get 100 viewers? You know?
You heard it here first, folks.
Brilliant.
No, yeah.
You know, I'm really happy to see that well-nurturing people are stepping up to do the esports now, which is you and your group. And I really hope for you and wish for you the very best in whatever endeavors you choose. So do you do this on a daily basis, or do you have any major plans of events coming up?
Yeah, so there are tournaments running daily. The UAE, the United Active Engaged E-Games series is running for a month. We're in our second week at the moment, so still plenty of time to get involved, climb those leaderboards. From the core GoGamers side with our tournaments, these are running most days every week. We have our core games, what I call the core games at the weekends, so Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And that's based on which game is the most popular with our audience. And, we tailor that around times that they're free. But it's almost running 24/7. As I said at the beginning, it's what's it caused? A lot of sleepless nights, but enjoyable nights.
Also, welcome to working from home.
yeah, thanks. That's a big thing. It's working, and obviously I'm on my computer as we speak, and then there's no disconnect. I end the call and I load up Total War Warhammer 2 or something, but I'm still in the office, and it's like I've got to learn to take it somewhere else.
It's funny that I've actually provided my CV to the Esports Council and know nothing.
Hint, wink, wink.
I know, right? Now, if you guys are watching this video, I'm still waiting for the job interview.
For us, I don't know how it came about. It was driven directly from the Ministry of Interior and the Deputy Prime Minister's approval with Banias. Banias, I say I've got to give a shout out to them as well. They massive support from them, and a traditional football club taking the leap and pushing this for the whole of the UAE, it's fantastic. It screams to your points earlier, Ali, about
No, but also I've seen this support from a lot of football teams here in the region, especially when it came to supporting new releases for new football games, like you're talking Pro Evolution Soccer or FIFA. I've seen that when a lot of Middle Eastern PR people reached out to football clubs. They've been always accommodating, always helpful, always finding smart ways to promote for the club as well by giving special design T-shirts for all the gamers and all the people who are covering that event in that day.
Nice.
And also, while Dubai has been leading when it comes to hosting a lot of gaming events, we need to give a huge shout out to Abu Dhabi as well for stepping up too in the past few years and trying to host a lot of gaming events and gaming tournaments, small and big, in the past couple of years. So it's great to see a country as an whole, not only specific cities, starting to realize how important this is and giving it funding and giving it support so that it could nurture a lot of future professional gamers as well.
Great.
Well, I don't have any questions from my side. Anything from your side, Ali?
No, I'm all good. All good.
Tom's been very clear, very transparent. He just needs a haircut, but that's after the lockdown.
As I say, I'm going to start a new hashtag. Don't care, lockdown hair. You heard it first.
One of my favorite memes.
Copyright.
One of my favorite memes is there's a guy with shaving his head, and he goes, "People stuck in lockdown, unable to go to barbers. Bald men have no problem."
Yep. Hey, introverts started first, so.
All right, guys. So signing off, thanks again for your time, Tom. Thanks again for contacting me through Rahul. Ali, always a pleasure to hang out with you. I know we WhatsApp each other every 2-3 days just to make fun of people, but yeah, man, Love you both. You guys are really awesome, and I look forward to seeing more Go Gamer content.
Thank you, Omar. Thanks for having us. Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
You're welcome.